Patrick Mann from Eagle Technologies. I've got Mike Prisbos on the line with me, as well as Lance Boley. Both these guys are from Metallic. Mike is a solutions engineer, and Lance is on the product marketing team. So we're happy to have them with us today to discuss Metallic and the software as a service backup solution that they're offering. First things first, I wanted to get a quick intro about Eagle Technologies out there. For those of you who don't know us, we're a VAR based in the Midwest, right? We've been around for nearly 40 years now. And really what we do is we try to build solutions, technology solutions for our customers, right? We're trying to make their technology lives easier. And we do that by building trust and maintaining relationships, not only from a technical standpoint, but from an interpersonal standpoint as well, right? It's one of the great things it's one of the great things of working for Eagle is that we do get to build those personal relationships and really provide that trust and with our customers and build out solutions that meet their needs.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining. My name is Michael Prisbos. I am the SE for Metallic. I've been with actual Commvault for about 13 years. I think I'm in my 13th year. I have my sidekick too, Lance Boley on. So we'll be going over some of the Metallic options today and the solutions, what we do have to offer. So from today's evolving landscape, as we can see, between data sprawl, risks, and then your responsibility are a big factor today. Just being the data sprawl that we have data all over the place. It doesn't matter if it's at the edge, where it is, if it's on-prem, cloud workloads, things like that. There's a lot of stuff all over the place in today's world. With that, those risks are up, meaning data is more accessible with people working from home, not having VPNs on, just putting data where they're not supposed to. It's making it easier for those attackers today to grab information, encrypt stuff, go after Office 365, which we've seen has really been rising. That's probably up to 300%, for as far as the ransomware, just because that's the security loopholes in today working from home. So with that comes number 3 is really your responsibility. What do we have to do to protect your data? What do you need? Especially with those SaaS applications, everything that's hosted in the cloud. Endpoints, big one. People working from home. Make sure you're on VPN, making sure things are secure. You're not just putting stuff that should be in your OneDrive on your desktop, not backing it up. Lost or stolen laptop. I mean, that's a big one too. People leaving things all over the place. Now that we're starting to get back out there into the world and, travel is going to start coming up, there's going to be, things getting lost. So having that protected stuff in a SaaS solution really gives you the ability to restore your data when you need to. So if I can get my PowerPoint to work, there we go. So times are changing. So with the SaaS applications, as you can see, it's a comprehensive breadth of solution across all your workloads. So not only do we cover the laptops with the Metallic, but we can do on-prem server-based cloud workloads, any SaaS application that really is out there between Salesforce, Office 365 is the biggest one, and then whatever other databases and things like that, especially with SAP HANA, SQL, things are really coming into play in order to back up those specific workloads. Then we get into the cloud native stuff, like I said. So, Azure side of things with the SQL databases, AWS, EC2 instances. I mean, there's stuff really spread across everything inside the data center, not only, on-prem, but also in the cloud. And to have that stuff backed up and then, between Commvault, it's been 20 years, over 20 years. I'm probably going to say about 25. We've been around since the 90s. Huge partnership with Microsoft too. So just having that technology behind our SaaS solution, we can really deliver that enterprise grade solution. And to be able to keep your data too, that's the biggest thing is retention. How long do you need to keep your data for compliance needs and things like that, just to really keep it, for the term of whatever you need. So what is Metallic? Again, Metallic is just a subdivision of Commvault. So it's the same technology that we use for over 25 years. It's been tried, it's been tested, it's true. Top right hand corner of Gartner Magic Quadrant for the past I think 9 or 10 years. We offer a lot of products. Today, we're just going to probably talk about the Office 365, Salesforce, and endpoint side of things. But as you can see, it's your full workloads. We'll cover everything from a SMB to an enterprise. It does not matter. We can cover all your workloads, anything that you might have, and make it easy for you. So what that means is we take I would say the environment out of the picture, or I should say the actual deployment and management. It's all covered by us, and it's hosted in Azure. So our control plane and all that is sitting inside of Azure, completely isolated from the Office 365 tenant. We are in our own domain and everything like that, and that's where we give you that true air gap solution. So it's a very great product. So a little bit about that multi-layered security approach. I did touch on that. As you can see, is we are truly isolated in the air gap, meaning we take your workload, especially for the Office 365 endpoint and Salesforce, and it's completely isolated from your on-prem solution, and then also from even attackers, or I should say the rogue administrators. So you get somebody that tries to delete data or anything from a storage side of things. There's no access to our storage. It's all controlled by us, which sits in Azure. The data is encrypted with AES 256-bit encryption in flight and at rest. It's very secure. We also use Commvault technology in the back end with our honeypot files, always scanning for any changes, deletions, encryptions, and things like that. It's truly controlled by us. And the great part about that is it keeps your data immutable. So when it lands, it's landing in hot GRS storage. It gets replicated to 2 different data centers based on region. So we are region-based and we're global. So we're in 29 countries today. And then you'll have a total of 6 copies of your data. As you can see on the left-hand side, we do cover all the workloads, not only just the Office 365 Salesforce side of things and endpoint, but any physical servers, virtual servers, and even hyper-converged. So if you have stuff on-prem, we can back that up. If you're into the cloud, Azure, AWS, we can also secure those workloads as well and give you a little bit more control over your data as far as what you want to do with it and how long you want to keep it for.
Yeah, I think, Michael, I buried the lead here and forgot to talk anything about how we're needing to protect our data and provide that immutability from ransomware protections and everything. I'm glad you started out with it because I definitely buried that lead.
No problem. That's the biggest thing. I mean, it's a top of mind of today is the ransomware, the protection, being alerted, making sure that your data is secure. That's the biggest thing. Is there's a shared responsibility out there today that between Salesforce and especially Microsoft that tells you have to make sure you back up your data. We can only do so much. So 3 key comprehensive data protection. It's a multi-layered approach to your data. Not only do you have to have some type of protection in the back end, as far as other security policies and things like that. Make sure people aren't getting into your domain, accessing anything like that. So it's almost like I try to put in a point of view of securing your house. You have doors and windows and things like that. You have to make sure that you put these sensors not only on your back door but your front door. So it's the same thing with your data. You have to make sure that you have stuff being protected not only on the front end, but on the back end, and then preserving your data and actually backing it up and having that secondary, type of security information. God forbid there was ever compromised. Now you can go ahead and recover that fast. We want to get your data back. That's the biggest thing, is making sure we can, recover your data. So some of these SaaS apps. So as you can see, again, we kind of went over this a little bit, but data losses resulting from certain integrations, any type of corruptions, different APIs, testing things, things aren't working and it just corrupts the data. Ransomware and those cyber attacks. I mean, look at that number. It's 400%. It's been up by since last year, since the pandemic hit and people working from home, especially with Teams. Teams is exploding. People are using Teams and then desktop laptops. So we're giving the attackers a little bit more, easier accessibility because we're kind of getting a little sloppy with things, everybody working from home. But 63% of that's coming from internal sources, a bad administrator, somebody lost their jobs, they want to, start deleting data, or just, oops, I deleted something. We've heard a couple times, I think there's a story out there, one of our customers, the administrator deleted 15,000 OneDrive accounts, not on purpose, just kind of did something to one of the storage resources or something and wiped everything out. Luckily, they were, using Metallic to back up that stuff, and we were able to get everything back, within a 48-hour period. It was a mass restore, but again, they had the backups, and it was just, things happen today. It's user errors sometimes. So here's a little bit of shared responsibility, like I was just saying, pointing out. So Microsoft is one of our biggest partners. They've been our partner for over 20 years. We just signed, I think, a 9-year multi-year deal with Metallic because they really see the product as a great addition to what they offer. So they also use us too. So they back up, all the Xbox accounts. So anybody has kids, those profiles are getting secured by Commvault and Metallic, and they also use us for their Office 365 side of things. So they're letting you know, say, hey, we can only do so much with your data. We replicate it. We don't have a true backup. We can only keep your data for so long, especially with those recycling bins and things like that. Make sure you back up your data for a specific amount of time with a third-party application. So they're kind of letting you know that, we're here for you, but again, you want to make sure that you have an actual air gap solution, third-party backup of your data so you can restore if there was anything ever attacked. Salesforce, same thing. They stopped doing their own backups back, I think, over a year ago. So they do sit in AWS, but your data, the customer data in Salesforce needs to be backed up because they will only keep it for so long and the redundancy is not there. So if you have to restore those objects or at a record level or anything like that, having that third-party backup to get granular is really, what it's all about. So why backup Salesforce data? So as you can see on this chart, Salesforce only offers so much, protection. It's one time per week. We have specific RPOs you can, run every 24 hours if you want to. There's really no support if you lost your data. You have to export the data as scripts. You have to constantly update, and then you have to come back and sweep that with maybe a file system agent to back that stuff up. And to really do those granular recoveries, there's really no way of doing that. If something gets corrupted, it's kind of gone. You can't import that back because it's going to take the corruption with you. Sandbox refreshes every 30 days. We can actually take that and restore from production to Sandbox as well. So we can handle that and recover it at an object level or a record level, which is pretty cool. And then that recovery service that we're saying back in July, almost a year ago, they started stopping doing that backup in AWS. So there's really no backup solutions for Salesforce without a third-party vendor. So if you really want to make sure that your critical data is kept and retained for whatever your retention-based period is, that's it's great to have a backup, third-party backup.
Yeah,
they
reinstated that, but it's still that $10,000 per recovery, and there's no guarantee they recover any data for you in that it's just a per instance. You pay this and you get what you get thing too. So really difficult to sell from my perspective.
Absolutely. That consistency, not only to be able to do that granular recovery is the biggest thing. Great points. So Salesforce, as you can see, everything's automated. It doesn't matter how many organizations you have or anything like that. We can do everything from a single view. So it's that nice single pane of glass. And if you are current Commvault customer as well, is we can integrate Metallic with your Commvault today. So that means through the command center, you can get your Metallic link, and then you can truly manage everything from a single pane of glass, which is really nice. And always know that your data is there. We preserve those content, so it doesn't matter if it's any type of relationship, custom files, those custom objects and things like that, we can recover. If you need to seed production data to your sandbox, we can do that as well. That rapid recovery is really fast. It's sitting in Azure storage. Again, like I said, it's hot storage. If you need to recover just an object or any record, we can get down and do some record level recoveries, restore it right directly back in place and things like that. But also seed that data. So that's that sandbox. If you want to take your production and seed it to actual Salesforce, we can do that right from the Metallic Hub, which is nice and easy. And the cool part about this stuff is there's no infrastructure. It's direct API connections. We run through Azure, we connect into those APIs. So again, you don't have to worry about control plane. You don't have to worry about your storage provisioning if there's going to be any on-prem. You don't have to worry about having your cloud storage. It's unlimited storage. It's part of the product, so we give it to you. It doesn't matter, how much data you have. There's no ingress, egress charges. It's part of the product, and that's for Endpoint, Salesforce, and then also our Office 365 suite. So you don't have to worry about those ingress, egress charges. And we allow you to restore, to PST files from an Office 365 standpoint. So now you can bring your data back home. So native controls are not enough. Like we said, Microsoft's only going to secure, or I should say, replicate your data as best as they can, and only hold it for so long. Especially with that garbage bin and the deleted items folder, or recovery is, I think, 13 days is max. We can hold it forever if we needed to. So not only backing it up, having that air gap solution from an administrator, even with our services, there's no access to the back-end storage. So nobody can go in there and start deleting data, which is a nice key, because it truly gives you that peace of mind to where it can't be compromised. The retention we can keep as long as you want. There's no limitations. So if you want to keep your data for 10 days and extend it to infinite retention, it's part of the product and we don't charge you extra. Granular search capabilities for those restores, so you can search for those files and folders, mail item search as well. Plus, we do offer e-discovery from an Office 365 and Endpoint portion of the product. So if you wanted to get a little deeper, and for compliance officers, we do offer that as well. It's just an upcharge in price. And those dedicated controls, we will meet the SLAs and the requirements. It is incrementals forever. So after we get that first full backup, the data seeds, and then it'll be incrementals forever from there. And then we can restore and create recovery points and things like that.
Hey, Mike, we've got a question. Yes. How often can you do your backups from a Microsoft 365 standpoint? What is the SLA that we can meet? Are we able to do an hourly recovery on a SQL database, things of that nature?
So from an Office 365 perspective, it's with the incrementals forever, the automatic solution. So it's every 3 hours. I should say it's every 8 hours, 3 times a day. So you'll get those backups from the Office 365 side of things. You can do ad hoc backups as well. You can fire off a backup anytime you want. But with Office 365, it's every 8 hours, so 3 times a day. On the SQL side of things, you have what we call our hybrid solution, is more of the core product, to where it's an agent-based backup. You can run those as much as you want, and also land data local, and then we'll send a secondary copy to the cloud. But we have frequent log backups. So if you want to set 15-minute transaction log backups to those databases, you can do that as well. And then we can recover to a point in time and meet your SLAs. I mean, if it's coming from an on-prem location, which we allow you to keep that local copy, those restores are always going to be faster because it's coming from disk. If that secondary copy, let's say your 30-day on-prem copy is no longer, we'll pull from either your own AWS or Azure, or you can purchase our Azure storage as well, which is hot storage. And then the recoveries are going to be, less than 24 hours. We have customers that have some pretty big SQL databases, and we recovered them under 24 hours.
Very good.
So from an Office 365 standpoint, as you can see, we cover everything from the suite. So not only SharePoint, we do OneDrive, Exchange, and Teams as well. We have the full-blown Teams API, so we can back up those Teams channels. We can restore them directly in place. Any posts that you have inside of the channels, we can restore in place, and same thing with the files too. OneDrive, Exchange, SharePoint, all item level recovery means that we can restore just mail items or a shared document and things like that as well. So it gets pretty granular as far as how we can restore. Brings us to Teams. Teams exploded since last year. I mean, everybody's using it. Collaboration, files, folders. I think I couldn't even tell you, probably 75 team channels that I have to shut my phone off at night because it's constantly going off. So it's just exploding. With our backups, we can secure Teams as a whole. So not only the Teams itself, but those channels, the conversations, the files, any groups that are inside there, plus the wikis and tabs, and we can restore that directly back into Teams. So that's huge. You don't have to worry about, exporting from SharePoint or Exchange and getting some information and then re-importing it back into Teams and do it, directly from the product. So it makes it nice and easy. So before we jump into the demo, we have one more. I'm sorry for boring you guys with the slides, but it's a big thing. 70% of data breaches are coming from endpoint and user responsibility. It's a big thing. Most people, they don't realize that it should really back up their laptops. We talked to a lot of administrators saying, well, my users really aren't dropping anything on their files. They're supposed to put everything in OneDrive. Well, that's the key word, is supposed to. I don't. I'm supposed to be on VPN. Half the time I don't even log in. So I'm not even, holding to my own standards, but it's a big thing. We have files everywhere. To back up that endpoint, So you can do that granular recovery, or even have a little bit of self-service from your end users is good. And then if, God forbid, you were ever attacked, ransomware or anything like that on those endpoints, stolen information, we can use that geolocation to secure that stuff and delete it on the fly. So that's where it comes, a third-party application like Metallic to back up that endpoint. Not only can we give you that geolocation and stuff, but the backups are silent. You can barely know the processes are running. We can push it out silent so the end user doesn't know it's being backed up or that it's being installed. And we give you the capabilities to actually do a remote wipe. So as you can see on the screen, we use that geolocation. We can send a delete command to that laptop from anywhere in the world if it was ever compromised, and it'll delete the data, encrypt the drives so that nobody else can get into the actual drive itself. So it's got really cool features. Plus it comes with anomaly detection. So that means we're always scanning using the honeypot files. If there's any movement, deletions, or anything like that, we will alert the end user and the administrator that there's been a compromise or something's going on, that you might want to take that laptop offline and delete the data or whatnot. So it's a really, really cool product. Plus, we offer the self-service too. So end users actually have the options to go into a web page. They can restore their own files and things like that, rather than bothering the administrators to restore stuff back. That brings me to the demo. Any other polls or anything that we need to jump on, or?
Yeah. We got just a couple of questions. Some of them are roadmap type of things, like protection of Dynamics 365 or G Suite. Is there any roadmap on protecting those workloads? Have you seen an interest in getting those protected with Metallic?
Yeah, absolutely. So Dynamics is on the roadmap. It'll be coming soon. As far as dates and things like that, I'm not 100% sure, but it is. We're doing a big push for it. G Suite and things like that, we are starting to see a little bit more. So there's going to be there's been some interest. So again, that's on the roadmap. How far out, I'm not 100% sure, but it is. There is talks to bring that in.
Yeah, looks like Bryant's talking about Dynamics 365 within the quarter even. So maybe we're real close. So
yeah, it's definitely coming. We see a big interest in it.
Very good, very good. All right, let me just quick look through this stuff real quick. Yeah, somebody has a question about if an internal attack has a Commvault credential, how is Metallic not affected?
So from the Office 365 side of things, because we host the storage in our control plane, you can't delete policies or any storage. So everything's set inside the product with all the permissions stripped out of it. So even as an administrator, if they got credentials to Metallic when they log in, and I'll show you in the actual demos, I don't have the option to delete the storage because it's built in. It's just part of the product. We provision the storage based on location, but we don't give anybody any delete options.
Very good. All right, I think that's all for now. Excited about the demo. We do have some questions about recoverability, but you're going to go over that, I'm sure, in the demo. So thanks.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let me go ahead and bring this up. Just let me know if everybody can still see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Awesome, great. So here's the Metallic Hub. This is the control plane. There's nothing that needs to be deployed or installed from an Office 365 endpoint and Salesforce protection. As you can see, that because that's a fully hosted SaaS service, storage is included, it all gets provisioned once you sign up. And that's how easy it is. It's really just an email sign up to the product. They send you a link to create a password, and then this is what you get as far as when you log in. So you can see all the services we do offer. Not only do we do the Office 365 side of things and SaaS solutions, but we can do those databases. We can also do VM and Kubernetes as well. So it's a full suite of products from our Commvault technology. Down here is what I like to call our resource page and some user management. So you can create, from an administrator standpoint, you can create users and compliance officers. So I touched on that. The compliance officer is for anybody who's doing searches against Office 365 and endpoint. Will not have access to this, but to a web page, so they can start looking for emails and things like that. Our documentation, which has some pretty cool 5-minute how-to videos on how to set up the product. Since it is SaaS, it's very nice and easy. It's really a set and forget type of product. And then our ticketing system still goes directly to Commvault support. So it's not a third-party vendor. Commvault support's been best in the business for over 20 years, past 10 years. I think they've held a 98, 99% customer CSAT. So our customers are very, very happy with support. So it's still the same support. You can create a case right from here, which is nice. And then also you can talk to a live support technician on the back end with our chat option. So it's not a bot, it's an actual person, and then they'll be able to help you out with some questions and answers. From a configuration standpoint, a lot of this product is all wizard driven. So Office 365, we only need an account to create those APIs, and I'll show you that in a second. But here kind of shows you your data sources that are being protected. You can see 4 of the APIs that we do work with. Here's the plans that you can associate with the users and or OneDrive accounts, Teams, things like that. So you can set the retention based on your specific needs and then a subscription usage. The only thing we need to configure any one of these applications is 2 things. The first part, what we call the express configuration, that uses a global administrator account and it creates these APIs in the back end. It takes about 45 seconds. We don't need the global administrator account after we create those APIs, so we can remove them. You don't have to worry about it. We also give you the custom configuration portion as to where if you want to take just an Exchange account, create the APIs on the back end, then we can come in here once we create the actual application in Azure. We can put the secret key in and the Azure IDs, and we can connect to the API that way because it is API driven. As you can see here, 2 ways, very, very quick as far as setting it up. The express configuration is the fastest one. The custom takes about an hour, hour and 15, just because there's a lot of manual intervention.
Yeah, especially creating service accounts to eliminate some of the throttling that tends to happen with the protection of Exchange Online, right? We automate the creation of multiple accounts in your environment to make sure that we don't run into those sorts of things.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're working with Microsoft too, as well as we go through the actual API to do the backup, so it doesn't use that service account if you use Express configuration. So you can create multiple applications or APIs in the back end to help with that throttling and stuff. But we're always enhancing the product to make it better. And the cool part about that is, because we are a partner with Microsoft, they give us a lot of access to things that, other vendors don't have, just to help with, because we know backup speeds in the cloud could be, slow, but we've gotten around that with the throttling, with being able to create different APIs. So once we get any part of the application created, it's all the same for OneDrive, SharePoint, and Teams, and we have the data ingested, then we can start doing restores. But the other nice part I like to show you here is when you add a user, you can add a user by themselves and set their retention based on your needs, as you can see. So it's not like you're locked into specific retentions. You can really set your retention based on needs and then create your own. So we give you some canned ones as far as like a 5-year, 7-year, and infinite, but you can come here and set your retention based on your specific need. So if you only need to keep your data for 30 days, you can keep it for 30 days. So it's not like it's an all or nothing.
Yeah, and so all that storage is included regardless of how long that retention is.
That is correct. Yep. If you want to keep your data forever, we're not going to charge you anything extra for that infinite retention. You can also go by AD groups too. So we have some users that have specific AD groups. We can go ahead and set a retention based on the AD group as well. By default, we do back up the public folders and group mailboxes, shared mailboxes as part of the product. We don't charge you anything extra for that. So if you have thousands of group mailboxes, we're going to back them up as a whole. From a restore perspective, you can see I can do the entire mailbox or messages. Item level restore, we do give you built-in search capabilities as well. So not only does this crack into the user's mailbox, we can restore stuff at a granular level, but we can also search for specific tos and froms if you wanted to as well. But we can restore this stuff right directly to a PST and CAB file, which is real nice. So now we're bringing your data back on-prem if you needed to. And we put it into a little export area, which is cool. So you can actually download that stuff, export it to this export area, and then log into anywhere in your environment and download these PSTs if you wanted to maybe drop it onto a file server or something like that. And we're not going to charge you those egress charges from this data coming back from on-prem. It's part of the product. We can also restore in place and out of place as well. So we can go back to the same user. We can also go to a different user as well. So we even show you a little information too. If you want to, get better throughput for your jobs, we can automatically create 5 Azure apps in the back end to help with that throttling and things like that. So same on OneDrive too. OneDrive is all granular level. Once we have the data ingested, we can restore this stuff at a granular level. So it is all item level recovery. We can crack into the OneDrive, restore just specific files and folders. Every part of the product too does have point in time capabilities. So if I wanted to do a specific date to and from, I can, but now I can come in here and restore my stuff too. So not only can I restore this in place, I can also go up to another user as well for OneDrive. From a Teams perspective, each user under OneDrive, if they share anything inside of a channel or group chat or private chat, we will capture those files and folders not only here, but also through the Teams API too. So from OneDrive, they can restore it back to OneDrive. From Teams, we can restore it to Teams. So let's get to Teams. Teams is a big one. SharePoint again, just like OneDrive and SharePoint, from a SharePoint perspective, we can restore everything back from just an item level all the way to an actual site as well. Teams API, this does secure your Teams channel at a granular level. So once we do back that stuff up, and as you can see here too, you can keep your data for a specific amount of time for Teams. But if we need to restore, we can select everything on here. We can restore just the items of the whole team. But now you can see this is going into my Teams channel. I need to restore some files that were shared in this channel, but I also can restore my posts too. So this is going to restore those files, or those chat files, or chats directly back into your Teams channel. We do have the options to not only restore back to the same destination, but we can restore to another Teams destination and channel. So now you can use this API to actually consolidate or do some migration. So if you're using Teams and one of your Teams channel is just getting out of hand, or you want to just take some specific information, files or chats, we can restore this stuff back directly to a different team channel, so you can look through the data too. So it goes directly back into Teams. We also have some search capabilities too. So if I wanted to search for files or folders or anything from a Teams chat perspective, we can go ahead and search for that. It'll start filtering things out. And then we can come back here and say, what, I need to restore this Excel spreadsheet from the past year. I want to restore this guy directly back to my Teams channel where it came from. So it gives you some pretty cool features from a Teams perspective. I'll pause right there to see if, do we have any questions?
There's some questions around cost associated with these plans. I think we can take those offline and discuss, generalities maybe, but maybe better to talk about costs with individual accounts.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a per user price. So it's with the storage and everything included, it is per user, as well. So yeah, we could definitely take that offline, or if they want, they can go to metallic.io and look at the pricing as well. We don't hide it from our customers. It's sitting right on our website as well. So if they just want to get an idea, and those are just, what we list on the website is just regular street prices.
Very good.
All right, cool. Let's take a look at Salesforce. So from a Salesforce perspective, again, fully hosted, everything sits in Azure. There's nothing that you have to do from a deployment, or I should say an infrastructure consideration. It's API driven again. So there's two ways we can actually configure this. And it's actually through the Salesforce link or OAuth. So what we'll do is we'll log right into Salesforce. It'll connect. It'll create your environment if it's going to be production or sandbox. So it doesn't matter how many business units you have. We can create a specific organization for each business unit in here and have them all listed out from one single pane of glass from one hub. So as you can see, you just give the application a name. If you want to name it Salesforce, the plan you would pick as far as how long the data is going to be backed up and how long you're going to keep the data for. So you do have the options to pick that, and then we would log in. We can also use the password authentication to whereas if you're going to use a specific user account, we can pop that in there that has administrator rights to Salesforce. And then we can grab those APIs and tokens right from the profile inside of Salesforce itself, set it that way, and then you can actually click into it, and then we'll authenticate. Very, very easy. Once we do get a list, or I should say once we do authenticate, it's going to show your production. So as you can see, you can have multiple business units here. You can create as many as you want. It doesn't matter. It's very easy by just adding another one. As long as we can connect with that specific user, we can have multiple business units here. And then from there, it's going to back up everything. These backups run every 24 hours as of now. We do give you recovery points. As you can see, everything we do protect. There's not only just all the objects, but we also do customization. So if there's any customization inside of Salesforce, we will keep the rows and things like that from a backup perspective customized and give you that granular recovery. So restore options we do get. As you can see, it's pretty extensive. Not only can we do object level, but we can do record level. So that's granular restores of particular records inside of an object. The object is a full object. So if there's anything for like accounts or profile users, things like that, we can restore that. Metadata, that's for the customization. We do back that up as well. And if we wanted to take our production and seed it to our sandbox, we can do that right from this product too. So it gives you a lot of different options. Some of the object level restores, what it looks like, it's granular, exactly what it says. So it's an object level based restore. We can look at the amount of objects that we do have, and we can restore from here if we wanted to. So if I needed to restore my account and maybe my app definition, I could do that. But we can also search. So we do have granular level search capabilities built into the product. So if you know you deleted rows or something like that, we can look for a specific deleted row, and then we can go ahead and restore that stuff back. But the restore capability is pretty straightforward. It's telling us where are we going. Are we going back to the same business unit, or are we going to a different business unit? This is the nice part about it, is you can restore in place and out of place to those other units. And if we're going to pull everything back as far as all the parents and all the children too. So this will not only bring back anything that's been constructed under those objects, but we can also bring everything that's underneath it as well. And then we would submit the restore. Very, very easy. It captures everything, and that's the great part about it is this is really set up in under 20 minutes, just because it's just an API connection. So the sandboxing is pretty cool because now we can take specific data. If I wanted to take an account, and then now here I can bring all those records right directly back into that particular sandbox, and I can even preview my stuff. So this is going to show you a list of all your accounts that you're going to bring back in, and then at least you know what data is being seeded from a Salesforce side of things. So very powerful tool. It is a true backup copy of your data. Again, it's not just being retained for so long. It's going to be set based on your retention, but you can do a lot as far as from a Salesforce side of things for backups and restores. We also have data masking capabilities. We can also do a compare as well. So if you wanted to compare specific files and folders or objects from a certain date, you can look from certain dates and also specific backups too as well. So it'll give you a compare. It'll let you know what rows changed, and then who also deleted something if you wanted to do that. Any questions on Salesforce? Anything come in on Salesforce?
I think we're good on Salesforce.
Cool. All right. Last part from the SaaS solution is our endpoint product. So desktop laptops, very easy to deploy. We can do a silent install if we needed to. Here's all the OSs that we do currently support, anything from a Mac, Linux, and then all Windows. The administrator can download this stuff manually and install it onto the end user, or we can do a silent install with the authorization code, and it'll get installed without the end user knowing. It'll register the product, and then once we have those devices registered, we can come in here from an administrator standpoint and start looking at the laptops. So these backups run every 4 hours. They're automatic. You don't have to be connected to VPN. It just goes over the wire. As soon as we grab a geolocation, we can start the backup. If the connection goes down during the actual backup itself, it'll pick up where it left off, from that current backup as well. So we use specific scan items that we know where we left off from the backup side of things. But from an administrator standpoint, you can see the geolocation. This is everything we do back up. This content can be changed from a plan perspective. And as you can see, this is where we're backing up to. So this is part of Metallic itself. So this is our East US 2. So if as an administrator, I wanted to go in here and look at that plan, it's only going to show you the information on that plan, but there's no options to delete any data. So you can see where this data is landing, our backup destination. administrators do not have access to delete any data on the storage side of things. So even if an administrator came in here and wanted to do something bad, they can't, because we can't delete any data. So I just wanted to show you guys that real fast as far as the data and how secure it is. So from a restore perspective with the endpoint it's just a file system restore. So from an administrator standpoint, they can actually come in here, restore everything back if they wanted to, but they can also crack into a drive and restore just particular files and folders. You can download it here if you want to from an administrator standpoint. We do have built-in search capabilities too, so now you can look for file names and things like that. But we also give you those cool in-place and out-of-place restore options as well. So I've had to use this a couple times. Since we've been working from home, I have kids. They like to throw juice boxes when I'm working, goes into the laptop, shorts it out. They send me a new one. I can come on here. I can use my self-service and restore some data. But the nice part about from an administrator standpoint is we have what we call migration assistant. So before I get my laptop back, they come in here, they use the migration assistant, they restore all my stuff back to my new laptop, and it's just like the day I left it, which is pretty cool. So once we have that stuff from administrator standpoint that they can restore, they also give me a login to what they call my web console, and I can come in here and I would get a login to my self-service page, and I can see my own computer, and I can restore my own stuff. I've had to use this plenty of times, especially trying to do presentations, but as you can see, here's all the data on that laptop. I can restore that same file myself. If I wanted to, I can restore it back directly to my own laptop, to my new laptop if I had to, but I can also download it as well. So this will give you those download options from a end user standpoint, to where if they needed to get into the laptop, they can restore their data and make it nice and easy for them. So from a Metallic standpoint, as far as our SaaS solution, that's really how easy it is to set up the product and some of the configuration and just the backups. So just know that, using Metallic, it's going to secure your data 100%. It's going to meet your RPOs, RTOs, and it's going to give you a little bit of peace of mind, especially with everything going on in the world today, to make sure that your Office 365 data is secure, your desktop laptops, and then Salesforce, being able to back that up on the fly.